Kata is launching pretty soon. We are already in pre-patch, and Rev ended, of course. And I wanted to make a video about Rev, how it fared up against the hype, how it actually ended up, and how it developed through the phases. So for me personally, you can already see about from the title, I think Rev was pretty overhyped, had a lot of problems, and some of these I want to analyze in this video. So I thought, yeah, why not make a video about it and analyze how Rev actually ended up. So yeah, I thought about what to start with first, and yeah, why not population data? So this is Ironforge Pro, and it's a really good site to see how many people raided and how many people participated in PvP. And here we can also perfectly see the different spread of the phases. Actually, this is about the whole classic progression. Like on the left we have classic, vanilla, and we have TBC in the middle. And actually this is where Rev started. So all of this is pretty much Rev. And this is also what I will be mainly talking about. So as we can see, when Rev started around here, we actually saw a really big jump of players. Like we almost had 600k players. And also, if you're wondering what two colors means, pretty much blues for alliance, reds for horde. So that's pretty much how the site tracks data. It's also important if you want to know how many horde, how many alliance players are on the server, because it's a combination of pretty much every server. Yeah, so like I was talking about, on the start of the phase, in phase 1 we had really like unprecedented amount of players. We almost more than 600k pretty much around here, and so there was a lot of hype about Rev, but as we already can see, it's pretty much like from month to month it went down pretty fast. We have such a higher drop off around here, like 20-30k players, and it only goes down from here. So people were pretty fed up with next Ramos, with the first phase. This is not true for other expansions. Like you can see, it's pretty much even. And that's also the main problem for Rev. And if phase drops, a lot of people get really hyped, and then it pretty much people realize it's not really that much fun, and people drop out, or there are other problems like Ulduar, what we'll be talking about shortly also. So yeah, as we can see, hard drop off, and we have around here Ulduar releases, and Ulduar actually has a bigger problem. It's a pretty much really longer phase. They tried a lot to do a lot of changes, giving Ulduar high level gear, so many more people play it, because Ulduar is a really hyped raid for a lot of people. Like I will probably also put some images in here. A lot of people rated it the best raid ever, and that's also why the phase is so long. So all of this is pretty much Ulduar and this TOC, start of TOC. As we can see, we have a lot of people playing Ulduar, and then we have less and less and less and less people playing Ulduar pretty much. There's also another phenomenon about Ulduar. Ulduar is a really special case, and I want to talk about it more in more detail later, because it's pretty interesting what happened in Ulduar, which pretty much also affects the whole classic WoW player base in general. So yeah, after Ulduar, we had TOC release, which like as we can see, we have a lot of people playing again, and then also in the middle around here we have ICC release. So actually, we didn't have a high hype amount, and TOC was pretty short. So this is actually more similar to something like vanilla or TBC, where the player base pretty much retains, but also in ICC didn't hold up that much because we start to lose players around here again, and all of this is actually pretty recent, so it doesn't really matter that much, and nobody cares about Ruby Sanctum, to be honest. So yeah, what can we see from that? You can see the actual overbearing hype, starting hype is pretty high. Lots of people are really excited for Rev, best expansion, whatever, and then drops off. Then next phase releases, a bit more hype, drop off. Like, so the actual quality of Rev is uh, pretty overhyped, pretty much. But not that overhyped because a lot of people are still playing it. But the drop off is really insane. You will see if you played Rev, if you played phase 1, phase 2. In phase 2 it was really extreme. You played at the beginning, you had a lot of people, and then 2 months later, really there was a lot of less people playing. This pretty much didn't happen in Berlin and TBC that much. We had a bit in TBC at the end of the phases, and phase 1 wasn't so nice. Also, it was too long, but it was really insane in Rev. So yeah, that's about the population. That's the first point I wanted to make, and yeah, we'll see about the next. I will next talk about Ulduar in specific. So yeah, let's talk about Ulduar. As you could see, Rev had pretty much high population peaks, but the drop-off was pretty huge. It wasn't really consistent, and one of such cases, is Ulduar. Ulduar is a bit unique because it was a really long phase, and also really interesting is that during Ulduar, during the fall off, like a lot of people left, they actually migrated, like they stopped playing Rev and started playing Classic Era again. This is one of the first the special case I mentioned earlier. So Classic Era is pretty much vanilla from 2019, the re-release, and it's fully progressed. Like the last raid released everything, and it hasn't changed from there. But yeah, people started playing Classic Era again, and that's also why Blizzard had such a focus later on Classic Era, because they saw people wanted to play vanilla again. Like Rare was too different from them. That's also, like, this case is such a big point because it really shows that Rev is actually pretty much different from TBC and vanilla in this case, and it's also show. But yeah, why did people left? Why did people left playing Ulduar? So at the beginning, everyone pretty much started playing Ulduar. Blizzard tried to incentivize also people to start raiding Ulduar because of the item level increase. So the item gear was there was huge upgrades from from phase 1. So a lot of people played Ulduar, and Blizzard was already also nerfing some unique cases like XT, for example. It was way too difficult, but people quickly realized how hard actually Ulduar is to play. So pucks pretty much died out pretty fast, and you had to if you wasn't a good guild, in which I for example was, you wouldn't really see much progression, or any hard modes for that matter. Like there were some hard modes you could do, they were pretty easy, but most of them there's no chance you will be ever clearing this with a puck, unless there were like a pre-made group or a really good GTKP, for example. But yeah, no way. So lots of people couldn't get the gear from the hard mode encounters, and the hard mode encounters gave you gear that was different over this now. Now it's like you get just an upgraded version of the gear with better stats. But in Ulduar, the loot was actually different. So like completely different. I have an example that I want to show a bit later. So yeah, this was a problem. Lots of people couldn't do the raids, couldn't do any hard mods, couldn't do the hard mods really, and then they left pretty much because they got frustrated. Similar case happened in phase 2 in TBC, but people actually, players kind of retained. It wasn't such a big issue like in Ulduar, because also the phase wasn't that long, and the problem was, yeah, people just left and they played Classic Arrow, or they left completely to not play it anymore. Also, people realized then, like, Udo was pretty overhyped in that case, hyped as the best raid ever, and people got pretty much a reality check how it really is. Like, Udo was really good raid, but not that good like people rated as. So yeah, that's why people left pretty much. That was the case, and now with the gear, I have an example here. Yeah, got your editing skills. And we have two weapons here. The left one is item level 238, and that's actually 25 normal modes encounter weapon. It's a pretty good weapon actually. It was really good for Fury Warriors. And on the right we have 25 man hard mode weapon. That is 252, and this weapon was best in slot for Fury Warriors, and I think for some other classes. I think it was BIS for Red Palace maybe as well. I don't know really. I forgot, to be honest. Maybe for yeah, I don't know. Yeah, as you can see, like alone from the stats, we have like the damage range is insane. You have 2 slots, and it's actually insane. This weapon was so good, but it dropped from second to last boss in hard mode, and this was a pretty hard encounter. If you didn't have a good guild, a good group, no way you're gonna clear this and gonna get this. Like there's no chance to getting this. So that was a problem. If you were a puck in a puck or something like that, you could be lucky even to get to Vertex pretty much, because many packs also just disbanded. It was a really long raid as well. This was another problem. It was really long, and yeah, if you got to Vertex and if you got to clear them with a puck, especially at the beginning, yeah, you no way you're gonna get cleared in hard mode in a normal puck. So lots of people never got this, and this was really a big increase to get this weapon. But yeah, no chance. And this is also more frustrating because the increase from normal mode to hard mode gear was really big, and if you couldn't do it, you were left behind pretty much. And because of the difficulty, lots class taking was also pretty important. So we have tier list right there, and yeah, yeah, assassination rocks are really good in this phase. For example, but if you were like say a warrior or something, you really need to show why raid would bring you. For example, with god logs, anything, it was that's a problem. If a raid is harder, a lot of people want to look who they want to bring, and so on. They only going to bring the best classes, so it's even harder to get into puck. And all in all, like the main takeaway from this is people in classic don't want really hard raids, and especially if they build like this, where if they are really hard and also really long, like no chance. It doesn't matter how good the raid is. People don't want to play it. So that's also what Blizzard realized, and they focus more on vanilla and so on, and on more like easier raids and so on. Like you see in SOD, for example, currently. It's gonna be interesting how they are gonna handle Cataclysm, to be honest. But yeah, that's what were the problems with Ulduar. And next, I'm gonna talk a bit about classes. Oh yeah, I wanna talk about classes. I think I have rambled enough, so we'll keep it pretty short. In Rev, a lot of classes saw pretty big changes. We had DK as a new class, which was relevant all throughout, especially Unholy. And a lot of classes got upgrades. A lot of one-button classes got removed, got changed. So they actually had a rotation, which was really good in my opinion. Pretty much in everyone's opinion. But some classes actually suffered. and lost some of the uniqueness, I would say. And for me, that's actually kind of sad. So I don't think Rev classes are that superior to everyone else. But it's really subjective. Like if you didn't play, like if I don't know if you played the Warlock, probably in TBC you were pretty hyped. I think about Rev or like in Rogue, or yeah, there was no DK in TBC. But you pretty much get what I mean. Yeah, but the two classes I think got the most shafted pretty much were Warrior and Paladin, because two classes which I also mostly familiar with, because I don't know, I think other classes also got shafted, like, but I'm not so familiar with them. But these two classes I am. And why do I think that? Let's start with Paladin first. And let's start with Red Paladin. As you can see on this CRD tier. And yeah, Red Powder got changed. In TBC they relied on twisting. They weren't that different from Classic, but they got a few upgrades in TBC. Got a Crusader Strike, some changes, and the gear was overall changed. They got to pause some spell power changes, coefficient changes, but pretty much the playstyle pretty much remained. But you got things that weren't really viable in Classic, like twisting because of the mana use. You could actually do in TBC, which was pretty cool. They were really unique, also pretty difficult to play, and the opinion about them is pretty split. Like some people, like me, really like the playstyle, and a lot of people, and some people don't really like it. They prefer the Rev playstyle. But in my opinion, I don't like the Rev playstyle. It's just so, how do I say it? It's pretty brain dead. It's just press abilities on cooldown, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's what the playstyle revolves around. In TBC, it was a lot different. You had to manage your auto attacks and use the seals. Uh, yeah, like you had to twist. If you don't know what twisting is, pretty much you change the seal at the right moment, so you get two at the same moment in the same auto attack. That's pretty much it. Would suggest if you're interested to watch a video about it. But yeah, I didn't like the change in Rev, and they were also really weak throughout Rev, pretty much till till Blizzard buffed them, which it's different from Classic, from the original Rev release. But since we are playing on the last patch, a lot of nerfs are from the last tier set, so a lot of classes were actually weaker in Rev Classic throughout than they were in original Rev, because it's based on the last patch. So Red Pala is a really strong tier set in the last phase in ICC, and that's why they got nerfed. So yeah, Blizzard tried to remedy that by nerfing them, by buffing them, and they got strong in the later phases of Rev Classic. But yeah, overall I don't think it was that good of a change, to be honest. And the other thing is actually, which is a bit controversial, is Prot Paladin. Prot Paladin got changed, and they are probably the strongest tank in Rev. They got everything Divine Plea, like they got a lot of good spells, and they could pretty much do anything. Yeah, but they lost their uniqueness, I would say. In TBC, they had the unique role. They were the best AoE tank by far. If you didn't have Paladin for certain encounters, it was pretty much doomed. And that was pretty unique about them. And their itemization was really unique, because you had to stack spell power for a lot of threat. And that meant you got like made a sword with a lot of spell power on it, or some spell power gear, and it was really actually really unique and really interesting. Also, the different builds you could run, talent builds and so on. They weren't as like this. What would I say were the strongest tanks? A bit different than TBC, to be honest. Say what the strongest tank. I think maybe it was the druids. I don't know really. But yeah, they were really interesting. And in Rev they got pretty much buffed everywhere. And but they changed their spell power reliance. So they had to, like a warrior tank, they had to stack strength and so on, which I didn't really like. So they're just like another shield tank, but just really broken. Yeah. So now let's go over warrior. So warrior is actually my class that I play the most, and yeah, they got pretty much fucked in this expansion. They got the last patch is pretty much nerfed warrior because they got a lot of nerfs throughout the expansion, some nerfs, and this is on the last patch. So we actually played throughout the most of the expansion with nerfed warrior expected from the last patch, pretty much, which was pretty bad. And the balance decision was pretty much, yeah, they're gonna scale because of the legendary weapon, but yeah, they were weak almost all throughout all of the expansion. And like many said, they only came really online in TOC and in ICC with the legendary. And there are also classes, if you don't have the legendary, that can overtake Fury. Yeah, that's actually really bad. And the same thing people said about TBC, but it didn't happen. Warrior was really good in even in the beginning. They were really decent, and they got better and better throughout the phases, pretty much. In TBC, they weren't so bad. Like everyone said in TBC, it's gonna be really bad, awful, worst class because they got nerfed in TBC compared to vanilla. Like they weren't broken like in vanilla, but they were still really really good. And in the end, they were also one of the best classes easily. But yeah, in Rev they weren't, and they didn't really receive many buffs. Only at the pretty much end, I think. But yeah, no one cared then, and that was really bad. And they were really boring to play because compared to TBC, you had to run Titan Script. Titan Script is controversial. You have some people like it, some people don't. I really don't like it. I think the 2 one-hander weapon playstyle is, even though Comet Rogue is pretty much the same, but it's way more fun to play and way more like characteristic of Fury Warrior instead of two two-handers. That's what I didn't like. All the lines of Titan Grip, change of a lot of talents. And in phase 1 it was really bad. You had to pretty much rely on deep wounds. Like I don't like the reliance on deep wounds. Deep wounds got buffed in Rev, so it was actually useful, but it's really boring because you just rely on crits and you dot damage, and that's, yeah, not really fun to play as compared to TBC. To be fair, so that's what were the problems with Warrior. Prot Warrior got some, like, a lot of changes. I actually like how they changed Prot Warrior, but since other classes like Prot Paladin got really insanely buffed, and all the things that the Warrior had their uniqueness for, like combat CDs and yeah, defensive CDs, they aren't really that competitive, but they're really fun to play actually. They got a lot of really cool spells, and especially the UA Warrior was pretty fun to play as. But they weren't so that competitive, to be honest. Yeah, that's what I had to say about the classes. I think mostly it's probably like the Rev changes are probably better, but some things I think are really way worse. They got worse, so And it's also the classes I play, so yeah, I don't know. I don't feel so good about the changes in Rev. So yeah, let's talk about loot. This is also probably the last thing I will talk about. This video is going on for so long. If you're still here, thank you for watching, by the way. This is my first video I wanted to make, and yeah, thank you. So yeah, what's about the loot? So with the start of Rev, we got a really hefty like change pretty much with how the loot is, with the loot situation. That's the image I made with really good editing skills, by the way. We have DST, if you know, Strength Spine Trophy, the big ticket, item in TBC pretty much for so many classes, for so many DPS classes. It was really the really big item to get. You got it in phase 1, and if you got it in phase 1, you could wear it pretty much till the last phase. I think only the last raid replaced it, and I think not for every class as well. But in Rev, this philosophy kind of changed. You got on the right, there's also phase 1 item, Grim Toll. If you got this, yeah, you could use it, but couple phases later, you can see phase 4. Actually, you could replace this even in, I think it was phase 2. Yeah, you could also replace it in phase 2. There was an item, I think Ulduar 10 man, Runestone, Runestone, and it was pretty much replacement for this. And this is what I meant. I also picked Trinket because Trinkets are the most unique thing, pretty much. It gives you the most unique buffs. And even they were replaced really fast. This was the main problem. If you could also have used swords, but swords would pretty much replaced next phase easily. And this is a problem in TBC and also in vanilla, of course. Especially in vanilla, you could have an item like, let's say, Onslaught Girdle, and you could use it in later phases, no problem. In TBC, you could get Dragon Spine Trophy. You could even get vanilla items like Swarm of Badgegod and Trinket from Anchorage, and could use it into phase 2, into phase 3, no problem. But if you would do that in Rev, that wouldn't work at all. Like item would like there were no like except for Ring Spine Trophy, there were no better alternatives. Like in phase 2, in phase 3, in phase 4, no better alternatives at all. You got that item and you were set. This is a big ticket item. And that's the problem. In Rev, these big ticket items are really sparse. You don't have a lot. And that's really bad and makes the loot really, really boring. You get like an item and replace it next phase. Just a better item, whatever. You don't really care about the items. You have some exceptions, like this. This is a really, really good trinket and also a really fun trinket. Deathring as well, but drops in ICC. Pretty much the last phase in the last phase. Yeah, not the last raid, but pretty much the last raid. And yeah, it was really, really good. And I think if this would have dropped maybe in phase 3, I think it would also be this for phase 4. I don't know really. Probably I would have different stats. But yeah, there were some exceptions, but actually too late and too sparse, pretty much. You didn't have that a lot. You have Shadowmourne, but it's also last phase. You have Vulnerary for for healers, and it's also yeah, I think that's second phase. But apart from that, not really, to be honest, and that's pretty bad. Makes it a little boring. Another fact is there's not really one item. There's I don't know if I can find it here. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, whatever. If you do the Ret and Heroic in harder difficulty, you get the item in Heroic version, which has like upgrade stats, and that's it. Udo was kind of different. Like I said, you got different items in heroic and hard mode, pretty much. It was pretty much the heroic, but in later phases in TOC and ICC, you just get the same item but with better stats, and that's also really boring, to be honest, and pretty bad. So you didn't have that in vanilla. You have that in TBC. There's like one item, it's big ticket item or it's bad item. There are also a lot of bad items, and yeah, nothing else pretty much. If you wanted this item, if you wanted a trinket with like haste increase on equip, I think there was no other alternative or anything close to this. So yeah, that's different things. In Rev you had this, you had Needle across the Scorpion, came phase 4. You had in phase 2 you could get Minion Root Stone, which is pretty much the same version as Needle across the Scorpion. Yeah, just with I think more armor penetration, because this was from a dungeon. But the itemization, the loot overall was pretty whack in Rev, to be honest. And also the items looked cooler in Vanilla and TBC, but it's like, I don't think it's subjective. I think it's objectively worse in Rev. So yeah, I didn't talk about dungeons because everyone knows in Revs the dungeons were pretty shit. And also they were, you had to do a lot of them. But I could have talked about Titan Rune dungeons and so on, but the video is already way too long. And yeah, but that's pretty much it. So that's my overview about Rev, why I think it's overhyped. And actually, from the population, you could say it's not really overhyped, but I think the how the population changed overall, how it got, how it peaked, how fast it got worse is like a really high indication that there was a lot of hype about Rev and there was a lot of downfall. I think maybe I make a video comparing in more detail to TBC, for example. Yeah, this was my main idea. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you watched it all the way through this, I'm new channel. I think I will be making more videos like this, probably shorter. And yeah, if you want, you can also go to my Twitch channel, leave me a follow. This would also be nice. Subscribe to this channel. I don't know if you want to like and whatever. And yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good day.